everybody to the Hot Tag Hooligans Wrestling Podcast show with myself, Aaron, and Tom. Tonight, very special guest. You may have seen her. She's a 12-year pro of professional wrestling. Some know her as Ruby Raze, and some may see her every Saturday on the Wow Women's of Wrestling show as Reina Del Rey. This is the one and only Ruby Raze. How's it going?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty good, and I'm going to be straight honest, and I'm pretty sure where you're at. Are you on the West Coast tonight?
I am.
Okay, so me and Tom are not doing very well. We're in the Midwest, sort of southeast. There's ice everywhere. There's snow everywhere. It's not the best conditions for us. So anytime we have guests on from, the West Coast, I'm a little bit jealous of that.
Honestly, right now, don't be like, I'm going to tell you it's cold. And when I say it's cold, I mean it's like, well, right now it's like 56 degrees outside. So that's cold for me. But also, today we had winds like 40, 50 mile an hour, cold northeast winds. Like, it's not, I know it's still warmer than you, but it's not, this isn't what I paid for. This is not what I'm paying for.
I think it was 28 here today. 28 degrees.
Today. And then
I'm
about a month ago, about a month ago, it got down to 2, and it felt like negative 15, and it was strictly ice. I mean, it's hit or miss with us. It could be literally 60 at this time of year. It could be 60 one day and then be 5 the next. It's terrible.
I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that for you guys. I do not love this for you guys. This is not okay.
Yeah, school is definitely canceled tomorrow here. It was today as well. And then, of course, Tom in his shoot job, he makes an hour commute. So he had the rough drive today where I was actually off from the shoot job today. So I actually but I'm stuck. I'm stuck up on my hill until I can get it kind of cleared off tomorrow. I tried it today, but it was too much ice.
Wait. So why was school canceled? Just because there's too much snow and ice, or
Yeah, too much snow and ice. Now I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes they cancel school and there's hardly nothing on the ground, but this time there really was. It's probably almost about a quarter inch of ice covering all the roads right now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the bus routes, because a lot of the kids get bused to and from school, and if the bus routes can't get clear, they don't feel like it's safe enough for the buses to be out.
I'm so sorry for you guys. Like, literally, I'm so sorry for you guys. Like, I went hiking 2 days ago. I'm sorry. Like, I cannot deal with like cold weather. Makes me angry. I'm angry and I'm sad when it's cold. Like, no.
Now listen, there are some benefits to cold weather because some food tastes better in colder weather. Chili, soups, home cooked meals are always better in the wintertime when there's snow on the ground. I fixed the chicken dish today, and my family said it was one of the better chicken dishes I've ever fixed because it just felt like home cooking. So, I mean, there's some benefits to that.
I mean, yeah, and I'll admit when it's cold, like we'll make some cold weather stuff, but warm weather stuff, tacos, that's always really good. Pizza, that's always really good.
Yeah, that's
good
that
in
50
time of
degree
year.
cold weather. That 50-degree cold weather cheeseburger she makes. It's rough. All right, so let's dive into your wrestling career because right now I believe you're one of the hottest names out there, and practically because of WoW and the resurgence of that promotion right now. And like I said, you're a 12-year vet. You're somebody who's been around the block. Talk to us about.
I just had my 14th year in the wrestling business.
Okay, 14th year.
Yeah,
I cheated you. Congratulations. Yeah. So talk to us about now. Here you are. You're possibly on television every Saturday. How does that feel?
I would definitely say not a lot of people in their lives can say they achieve their childhood dreams, but I did. I completely did. When I was a kid, an itty bitty growing up, like a tiny girl, I saw Glow on TV. I saw Hollywood. I saw Vine. I saw Royal Hawaiian. I saw Lightning. I saw all these women who were on TV, and it was amazing. And all I wanted to do when I was a kid was to be a glow girl. It was never about WWE for me or WWF. It wasn't about any of that. It was about being in glow. And here I am, a grown ass woman, and I am on WoW, which is basically the second incarnation of glow, even though it's not glow. It's like David McLean's baby. And I couldn't be happier, honestly. Everybody's like, oh, we want to see you on AEW. We want to see you on this. No, I'm where I want to be. Like, this was my childhood dream. And who could say that they lived out their childhood dream?
And that's most people can't say that. So that's fantastic. Now, one thing I wanted to kind of touch on was, definitely the difference in character between when you do your independent shows versus WoW. Do you like to get to be able to do that, or do you like to stick to that one character?
There's not a lot of difference. So I'll bring this up about WoW. When I went there originally, a direction for me was definitely different than where I ended up. They thought they wanted a monster gothy, sinister like character, right? And they thought that's what they're going to get when they brought me in. David McLean brought me in by the graces of Princess Aussie, who threw my name out there. And I came in and they're like, yeah, we have this gothy, da 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 da, what we want for you. And then I got there and they're like, okay, let's go to train. Let's see you at training. And they started training. They're like, okay, can you go do these spots? And I literally did this. And then I threw my bandana on. All right, let's go. And so I went in there and I did the spot. I did the thing that they wanted me to do, but I did it as Ruby Raze, as who I am on the indies. And they're like, hold up. Wait a minute. Who are you? Like, I don't think they actually knew who I was on the indies. And they're like, who are you? Tell us about you. And so I started telling them about me, who I am as a person, about my family, about where I came from. And essentially they're like, okay, no, you're not going to be this thing that we thought you were. We want you. I was supposed to be in a tag team. No, we want you as a singles wrestler now. And we want you like how you are now. So I'm very blessed in the fact that what I do with them is very similar to what I do on the indies. Similar, not exactly the same, but very similar. It's like, I feel like WoW took what I do on the indies and they turned me up even more. So I'm turned up on the indies. They turned me up even more, which is amazing because no one has ever relayed who I am or the story or my origins the way they do. And so I'm fortunate in that aspect, if that makes sense.
How would you compare the crowds compared to just a normal indie show that you go to being in front of WoW? I know a lot of people who have attended, television tapings, perhaps like an AEW Dark down in Orlando. It's just a small crowd. Sometimes it's just tourists coming in just to catch a show. But how do you consider the crowds as far as WoW goes versus a normal independent wrestling show that you go to?
So it's interesting because you'll have wrestling fans that show up to WoW. You also have completely non-wrestling. We're here for women's wrestling. We don't know what's going on. And it's a TV show that's wrestling that shows up too. So it's kind of split in the sense where sometimes a lot of people are really cheering for me because they remember me. They know me from the indies. But at the same time, I'm bringing this meaner, more sinister character. So I have another part of the crowd that's booing me. But the crowds are similar, but I have to work harder to make them hate me, if that makes any sort of sense. I have to be meaner. I have to be more devastating and more dickish. I'm just going to say straight up dickish. I have to be more of a dick to get them to hate me at these shows, which isn't too hard because a lot of the likable characters are really likable. When it comes to me, like they see, a badass Latina, take no crap from anybody sort of girl, which people generally gravitate to as someone that they would like because, screw the system, screw the man. Like, here's this chick that goes against it. Now I have to figure out, like, on top of that, okay, but I need you to not like me. So what am I going to do to make myself more hateable to you? And I figured it out.
Now, you do a lot of work with the trainees and stuff now, right? As from what I follow on your social media and things like that. How has that been to, fulfilling wise to you to see where your career has been to where you're now actually helping the younger talent come in and see them succeed?
Um, I like it. I actually really love it. And I feel like this is more towards the indie side of what I do because at WoW, we bring in our own trainers and I've gotten to help a little bit, but not as much as I would really have liked to, or I would ever like to. I would love to help them even more. But WoW has a different style of wrestling and that is different than the indies. Um, Outside of the indies, like I'm open, completely open to the people I've worked with and to up and coming talent. So obviously I'm from Santino Brothers Wrestling Academy. I'm always open to anybody that wants to come to me for help. I've been there here and there. I haven't been there for a while. Level Up, which is a school run by B-Boy, and I'm sure you guys know who B-Boy is. I'll drop down there from time to time, and I just generally make myself open, and it's really great when I have younger female talents like Savannah Stone, or like just you won't know her now, but you will know her, Sahara Zacher, coming out of Level Up, that hits me up for like input advice. Even men who hit me up for input advice, like Remy, and there's a Artorias. There's a bunch of people that hit me up for advice, and honestly, I feel like that's the legacy that you have to leave. And I will tell them, my point of view, and I'll also tell them like what Roland Alexander told me. I'll tell them what Bateman told me. I'll tell them what everybody I knew above me ever told me, Rocky Romero, everybody that I've ever gotten a freaking chance to train with. I pass their knowledge on as well. So Soraya Knight, oh my God, she's a beacon of information, but I pass everything on and I'll never pass it on as if it was my own. Also, like, this is what Roland taught me. This is what Jason Strive taught me. This is what Bateman taught me. Like, I feel like that's what you have in wrestling is a line of knowledge that gets passed down like stories. Like when you pass down stories, this is how it goes and this is how it'll be. And being able to do that's honestly, I feel like that's up there with just wrestling for me. I was very fortunate at one given point in my career to run a show out of Santino Brothers called Up All Night. So if you're on the internet, look up Santino Brothers Up All Night, and I ran that show where I was the producer, and I got to give any knowledge. I got to book the matches. I got to give critiques. I got to run the show, and that I feel like that's the legacy you leave in wrestling. You have your matches and you have your great spots and you have these matches and yada yada yada, but your legacy in wrestling is going to be what you could pass down to the next person.
Tom's question was a good segue because it was kind of like where I was going. You mentioned Santino Brothers, and when we first started our podcast, one of our first guests on the show is a friend of ours now, and he was in my book, Independent Road to Wrestler's Journey, and that was Gino Rivera. And he threw your name out immediately to us as someone that we needed to get on our show 2 years ago. And then fast forward, last year we had Savannah Stone on our podcast as well, and she's going to be featured in my new all women's book. And she mentioned how vital you were to her career. And so you'll be able to read that coming up here later this year about how she said how vital you were to her career. And it's just what you're talking about. It's passing along. It's not acting like you're better than somebody else. You have to pass along that knowledge to the next generation, and everyone has to start working together.
Yes. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. I came into wrestling in the unconventional way that everybody comes into wrestling now. So nowadays, it's very easy to find somewhere you're gonna go and you're gonna find a wrestling school and train to go wrestle, right? I didn't have that. When I was coming up, I was literally watching, WWF, and I'm like, oh, Shawn Michaels Wrestling School, it's on WWF. Let me try to take a screenshot. Oh my God, what can I see? I didn't have that, and I didn't know where there was wrestling schools around me. I came into wrestling, and I'm probably one of the few people that came into wrestling the apprentice way. So I was a wrestling photographer. I always wanted to be a wrestler, but I was a wrestling photographer. I got picked up to be a manager. I managed the trios of Bateman, Drago, who is now known as Simon Gotch, and Funny Bone. I wrestled. I managed them as a trios, and when they broke up, I stayed with Bateman, and Bateman trained me on his own. And literally, I'm not lying when I say the first time I took a face bump, the first time I took a back bump, first time I took a flip bump was on a futon mattress on the floor. When I learned how to body slam, it was because we found a ring that was near us. And so Tyler Bateman trained me on his own for like 5 years before I even went to Santino Brothers. So I was on the road for 5 years, driving from here to Oregon to Iowa to like all these places in between. I met Roland Alexander. Everybody, you should know who Roland Alexander is. Everybody, I'm saying this to everybody. You should know who Roland Alexander is. I went to the APW garage. I went to all these places, and I essentially would be there, and I'd help set up the ring. If the ring was set up, I'd sweep it out. I'd do whatever I could do, and then I'd get in the ring with Bateman or whoever would teach me, but mostly Bateman, and learn that way. Now it's very conventional where you could go and you could find a training school anywhere you are right now and to go train and pay money. I did it for 5 years. I didn't pay for 5 years, but I paid for the gas. I paid for this. I paid, paying your dues. Paying your dues. And Bateman taught me everything he could. And this comes from like OVW. This comes from all these, generations of wrestling. And like I said, I got to learn from Rocky Romero. I got to learn from Saraya Knight. This was all not associated with the school. So whatever I could learn and pass down, this is how I taught. This is how I learned. This is, let me help you too from what I learned. And let me tell you what I've learned along the way. So Savannah Stone, knowing that, by the way, thank you. Knowing that she said that, like she came here from St. Louis, and I met her and I totally jived with her, and like literally I was looking at her and I told her, like, Savannah, like, you're great. Savannah, you're amazing. You just need like little quips and things and this and that, and I'll help you any way I can. But I'm really glad that she's in California right now, and I'm really glad anything that I ever taught her could help her, and I will advocate for her as much as I can, always from here to there, because you could give a million words to anybody, but it doesn't matter if they're not listening. And Savannah always listened, and you could always pick and choose what works for you and you doesn't, but she always listened.
Shout out to Savannah and James Brady. I'm sure they're going to watch this, so shout out to them.
James is great too, by the way. Yeah,
James
I really like
James
him.
is great too. Let me tell you. So a few weeks after we had Savannah on the stone, we had James on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And they came across as the couple that would make you sick with how much that they love each other. Like they're like the perfect couple of all time, and and they really came across, and they complemented each other so well, and they're both fantastic in the ring, and I'm hoping to see more of them on television in the very near future. For us, unfortunately, in Kentucky and Indiana, we have to catch them a lot of times on YouTube or hope that somebody posts a link because we're not able to pick up television where they could possibly be appearing. But yeah, hopefully in the near future, both of them make it big.
Yes, absolutely. If there's anything I could do for either of them, like I'm trying to wrestle, I'll try to wrestle Brady as much as I can. Like Savannah too. I love wrestling with Savannah against her, but I love wrestling tag team with her more than I like anything else. So yeah.
So you mentioned when you were starting out traveling from state to state, and how was that for someone who was doing the learning and everything to just pack up and go, and because you knew this was your dream. So talk about that experience a little bit.
It was absolutely terrible. I'm not gonna lie, it was terrible. Like literally, I recall in 2009. So me and Bateman were at my house, and we got a call from Gary Yap. And I don't know if you guys know the name Gary Yap, but he ran Epic Pro in Southern California. But he would also do shows or do matches outside, like presentation matches outside Southern California. So we're here one night, and 2009, I'm a student in college, and we got a call from Gary App. Hey, we got a show in Oregon. Do you want to go do a show in Oregon? So like, you don't turn down, you're going out of state, you don't turn it down. So it was literally like, okay, well, in 5 hours, we're going to meet in this parking lot. So we're like, oh, okay. I guess this is what we're doing. But it was like that. I felt like it was always like that because I feel like with wrestling you have to be so available where you're going to be on the last minute and you got to go do something, or whatever job that you have as a wrestler, which makes it very freaking hard to have a stable life. You have to be able to get up and go. And that's how it was when I was doing that 5-year stint as a manager. It was always like, yeah, we have all these dates that are like beforehand that we know, but we have the ones that pop up and we got to take it. So it was very tumultuous and it was very on the dot, especially one in particular that I'm going to remember, and I'm going to try not to cry while I'm talking about it. I was in grad school at USC, and Roland Alexander passed. And Roland passed, like, he was a bright spot to me in professional wrestling because there's no reason why Roland should ever have decided to talk to me or to make friends with me or keep in touch with me. And he did. Roland saw something in me that I didn't see, and he didn't see at first. One of the messages and I have from Roland is he sent me a message and said, hey, I just thought I would let you know. He's like, when I saw you come out as a manager at APW with Bateman and the boys, he's like, I didn't think shit of you. I thought you were nothing. You were just another girl that was out here bringing the boys out. He's like, then I saw you out there. He's like, and I can tell you right now, you're the greatest corner man that I've seen in the last fucking couple of years. And that just warmed my heart. And since then, he had kept in touch with me. And that was like my transition from being a manager into a wrestler. And he told me that he always wanted to see me in the APW ring. And unfortunately, it didn't happen while he was alive. But when he passed, where I was getting to, when he passed, I was in midterms at grad school at USC. And then we found out he passed. And that was on a Wednesday. I want to say it was a Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, somewhere midweek. But literally that weekend after he passed, they were going to do a memorial show for him. And it's the same thing. We're at a moment's notice. You get up and you go because this is something that matters to you. Definitely Roland mattered to me. And same thing for wrestling shows. You know what matters to you. You don't know what matters. You know shit that, sorry, I'm going to cuss.
You're okay.
You know when you take a booking that doesn't matter. And I'm not saying that like nothing matters because everything matters, but to a degree, there are bookings that you take that are just bookings to take. And then there's bookings that you take that matter, like this matters, this match matters, this, thing matters. That definitely mattered to go up there and do the Roland Memorial show that weekend. And that was the first time I was in the APW ring as a wrestler. And I'm sad that Roland got to only watch it from heaven. But back to the point, yeah, it's a yeah. Sorry, I lost.
You mentioned no, you're perfectly fine, and I fully understand what you're coming from. I don't think people understand and from doing my last 2 books here with the talent, how many people had the same dreams, but how they got there is all different. And all the struggles that they've all gone through is different. And you mentioned it. There is a lot of people who take matches because they need the money, and so they're going to go take a match. But I interviewed a talent last night, And they said that the one thing that they've learned recently in the last year or two is start taking those matches that matter, that's going to elevate you. Do you feel like that you're doing more of that now instead of just taking what anything you can get?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very fortunate part that I have right now. So here's my opinion. The reason why we work the indies is to try to get to a greater goal. You bust your ass, you go, you do all these shows because you're working towards something. You want to be somewhere. If it's WWE, if it's Impact, if it's New Japan, if it's WoW, you're busting your ass to try to get to this spot, and you have to gain cred, and you have to gain notoriety, you have to gain like whatever you need to gain. But I mean, once you get there, like you don't have to do all these other things anymore. This is like you're stepping up spots for me, unless you're completely content being on the indies and you don't want anything else. Maybe you've touched WWE, maybe you've touched Impact, and you're like, no, I don't want anything to do with them. Maybe you love that indie life. In that case, great. For me, like I said, I always wanted to be like a glow girl. I got wow. I'm where I am want to be now. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect now. I don't have to take all these bookings all the time, and I make my career from WoW, and my living is from WoW, and that's I think that's maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like that's the goal. Like if someone's in ROH and ROH is, paying them to be a part of their roster, heck yeah, why are you going to go out and you're going to take a less amount of dollars indie booking where you might get injured, where you have a potential of risking your career with ROH, and then what? Then what are you going to do? Like is it worth it? Like, I do right now what I do. The only spots I take now are spots that are really fun, that I love, that I want to be at. But if not, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to risk my career with WoW to go and do a million indie bookings where I have potential to get injured, because injuries happen and could happen from the simplest and easiest of things. You'd be surprised at how simple injuries happen, and it's insane. Like you could do a back roll, you could do a quarter roll and get an injury that could be like career ending. It's ridiculous, and it's always the dumbest, stupidest, smallest stuff that fucks you up. Sorry, that messes you up.
So, and when you first started, 14 years ago, social media was just kind of starting out a little bit. But now, like you were saying, you could be someone like a Luigi Primo and just have a moment where you're spinning a pizza on the indie scene. 1,000 people see this, and all of a sudden, the next night you're on AEW because you catch a wave. And it's the same thing as far as there could be a young talent out there right now who gets a match with you. You all have a banger. Automatically, one of you two could be elevated to the radars of the top promotions and skip, perhaps, people who have been doing it for 15, 20 years just by having that banger of a match.
I mean, and that's just kind of how it is, and it's really weird. And I man, I have so many things to say about this, because I'm literally like, there's parts of me that are really mad about that, but I get it. And I get it because I work in social media, right? So like outside of wrestling, outside of WoW, like I have a career. By the way, wrestlers always have a career. I have a career, and it's in social media, and you don't know what's gonna hit. You could think the algorithm, you could think what everybody wants, but you don't know. And then something hits and something drops, and next thing you know, this person is elevated to another level, or this person just got all these eyes on them. And maybe this is why like WWF, AEW, or whatever sees this person, is because of this gif or a clip or whatever. It's ridiculous. Like social media, it's ridiculous. But this is also the good thing about it. Like the good thing you want is and the reason why I ran up all night is I want them to gif it. I want you to put out clips I want you to put out like anything you can that might hit. And if it hits, great. If it doesn't, okay. Then you have more content and you have more views on you. Like, share your stuff. But like this, coming from someone who started when it wasn't social media and it is social media now, it's a definite turn. And it's something where I tell everybody that I ever work with or anybody that listens to me, wherever you go, get footage, get pictures, get footage. And there's so many times where I hear, oh, I don't have the match, I don't have this. You should have recorded it. If you get nothing else from this one experience, get footage or pictures, like footage more so, but yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I can say, we're avid wrestling fans, but I would say 40 to 45% of our guests that we have on our show, we discovered through social media and then went and did research on. Where years ago, if we had started this podcast, we'd probably just be trying to do a lot of people who are locally, or we would be shooting our shots with people who were probably out of our range, but now all of a sudden we can hear about someone, research that person, fall in love with them, build that respect for them, and then ask. And so, yeah, absolutely, I understand what you're saying, Tom.
Yeah, and it's funny about the whole podcasting thing is that it's kind of that way as well. It's like we don't understand why one podcast will get 1,000 views and another one will get 100 views or whatever it may be. There's a wide range, and sometimes I think some of our better shows, the more entertaining guests, the more you know interesting topics and things like that, people don't even see them, and it's just the weirdest thing. But we just look at it, this is the funnest thing we do all week is get to talk to awesome people like yourself and talk about the careers that they're having in a industry that we are passionate about. And we don't make a dime from these, but what we get from doing these and being able to talk to wrestlers that are living their dream is, to me, worth more than whatever monetarily that we could get from this. But I totally understand what you're saying, because like we see some podcasts that are like doing really well, and not that I'm jealous or upset that they're doing well, but I feel like that our podcast is just as good, and we have great talent that are on the show, and we talk about great things. And I'm just like, how did theirs hit? And here we are in some of our greatest shows. There's not hardly anybody watching them.
Yeah,
So
and
it
piggyback off what Tom said, we can have someone, and it's happened. We've had someone who's just breaking into the business, and they'll be one of our highest watch shows ever, and we'll have a former AEW Women's World Champion on our show, and they won't even rank in our top 10 views of all time.
This is like, I contend with this. Like I said, I work in social media, so I contend with this all the time. And I'm like, oh my God, I have this amazing clip. And I'm like, why isn't anybody watching my clip? And it's not me. I'm putting over other people in this clip for this company that I work for. Why is nothing going on with this? This is great. I posted it at the right time. I posted like, I don't know, like this magical algorithm thing. Like in my years of social media and doing this for grad school too, I've never been able to figure out. And even when Instagram tells you, hey, post it these times, or Facebook tells you post it these times, it's like that don't work either. They don't work.
It doesn't.
Like,
it must not be in the right time zone is what it is. I may assume it's 7:00 my time, and it's actually 7:00 your time on the West Coast, and that's probably what it is.
It doesn't. It don't matter. Like, I'm just gonna tell you, it don't matter. Like there's a magical number and we don't know it. There's some stuff. So literally, so I don't know if you guys know, one of my clips went viral. Like, when I say viral, in the millions of views viral, everybody hated me for this clip. It was a clip of me doing a German suplex. It was me and Kennedy Brink, who is now Jessica Carr on WWE. I did a suplex on Amaya Jade at Wildcat Wrestling in Louisiana onto a chair. The chair didn't break. a German suplex. The chair didn't break. She rolled off of it. This clip went so viral. It was on Fox Sports News. It was on ESPN. It was like on all these, like it got on World Star and all this stuff. Why? I couldn't tell you. I originally posted the clip on my, I didn't originally post the clip. Bestia told me to post this clip on my Facebook so he could share it. And he shared it. And then Ricardo Rodriguez from WWE shared it. And then next thing you know, it's like that. Like you just don't know. Don't know. It's like that.
Now I did see that you got a new tattoo recently. The sink or swim. So that's a perfect motto there for pro wrestlers. Sometimes you got to either sink or swim. You got to get out there. So is that kind of where that motto came from for you?
No, but it's true. But it's a life tattoo. That's kind of how it is. So the sink or swim tattoo actually came from I'm a bodyboarder. It's always sink or swim when you're bodyboarding because you get crashed by a wave. You're going to sink or swim, hold on to your board or let go and reach the surface. But literally the sink or swim tattoo literally comes down to life. Like in every situation in life, you have two options. You're going to sink or swim. So when it applies to wrestling, it definitely applies to wrestling, but it applies to life in general. Like if you grab a job, are you going to sink or swim? When you're depressed, are you going to sink or swim? And I think we all have our moments of sinking, and that's fine. You could sink for a while. Hold your breath and you could go underwater and you could sink for a while. But at some given point, you got to figure out, are you going to find the surface? So I was in Costa Rica on a surf trip, right? And Costa Rica, I was in Playa Grande, which is where pros go to learn how to surf. They go to train to surf, not learn how to surf, where they go to train to surf, one of the spots. And the very last day I was there, we were doing like three a day sessions. So I'm already tired. And it's the very last session of the last day we were there. And it was the biggest waves. And there's so many locals out in the water. And I'm there. And I make one wave and I'm trying to paddle back out. And like in my head is like trying to paddle back out. And I'm trying to duck these waves and get underneath. And then I'm getting sucked down towards the big peak. So you have peak, and then there's the bigger peaks that get bigger. And I'm getting sucked down towards the big peak and I'm trying to duck these waves. And I realize like, I feel like I'm barely making it. I go to duck a wave and I literally do a moonsault inside the wave. Like it just got me. I do a moonsault inside the wave on the board and it drops me down to Davy Jones Laka. And I'm underneath the water. I'm relaxing because that's what you got to do. You just got to relax underwater and be like, okay, this is happening right now. Let me just relax. And then I'm underwater so long. I'm like, I need breath. I need breath. Like I don't have my breath. I blew it all out when I went underneath. I don't have breath. And time's passing. And I could feel that the ocean floor is beneath me, but I can't get my feet beneath me because I'm still being ruffled up by the water. Okay. I started to think, oh shit, this is gonna be it. Cool. This is gonna be the one I gotta get saved from. Fortunately, I was able to get my feet beneath me and come back up. And as I'm coming back up, I get to breathe and I see a wave about to crash on me. And I just grab my board and I turn and I go back. But that's like one of those sink or swim moments. What are you going to do? Are you going to let yourself drown in the crushing weight that the world gives you, that life gets you, that your job gets you? Like, are you going to swim? Like, I sank for a minute, but I'm going to swim. Let me swim.
And you're definitely swimming right now. Let me tell you. And we're glad you're swimming, and we're glad that everything is fully working out for you. Thank you so much for coming on here with us tonight. I greatly appreciate it. I tell you, you're one of those guests I think that I could probably talk to for hours. I just do. I really do. I like people when they're being real, and I feel total authenticity from you and everything that you said. And I appreciate you, and I know Tom does as well, for joining us tonight. Before we let you go, plug yourself. You got any merchandise, anything that you want people to follow you anywhere, anything?
Just follow me on social media, and I make it really easy to follow me on social media. I have the same name on everything. Everything. So you can find me under the name Razor Pops. That's RAZERPOPS on like everything. Probably the things you don't even think you'll find me on, you're gonna find me on.
Okay, I'll go with that.
Not
Hopefully I don't
Tinder.
see-
Not Tinder. Not Tinder.
Yeah, you never know. We've had some comments in our comment section sometimes that make us shake our head. So she's not on Tinder, people. Do not go search Razor Pops on Tinder. And if you find a Razor Pops, it's not her. So, all right. For myself and Tom, thank you everyone out there for everything you do for us and hitting the subscribe button as always. And I want to make sure I thank everyone. It's really our first podcast since. But thanks everyone for getting my new book, No Wi-Fi, No Problem, up to number 4 on the bestsellers list. I appreciate it. To go along with number 6, Loving Casey Nelson, number 4, Independent Road to Wrestler's Journey, and the number 1 book, Today We Pray. I appreciate it so much. And yes, like I did mention, the women's book is still coming. And one day when this finishes, I'll be able to explain it to everyone, and Tom knows it. There's just so many talents out there. And sometimes when they get signed at major companies, even though we've already committed to it, they tell them no. And I'm that guy who'll say, you know what, go live your dream. It's okay. And so it is coming, and it's got amazing talent involved in this book. And I can't wait to share that one with you all as well. For myself, Tom, and Ruby, thank y'all so much. Enjoy y'all's week. And if you're out in California, enjoy that sunshine, because Lord knows that we don't have it here. Thank y'all so much, and have a good night.